AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
Hey, welcome everybody. So we got I don't even know how I probably should have thought about this more. So we have a topic for the week since some stuff changed in New Jersey and Tony's in New Jersey. So I don't know if anybody's going to join us live tonight or not. Kind of set the show up here a little while ago, but we just have one question so far. But we can hold off on that for a bit here since that came in already. And chat with Tony. So thanks for joining us.
Hey, man. Glad to be here. I don't even know how to act. It's such a freaking cool win. Yeah, dude. It's like, all right, go ahead. Yep.
Well, so
let them know, baby.
Tell us what's happening. So we know that if people have been paying attention, there's a lot of court cases out there. We've got the federal and the Supreme Court and all that, and then in this case, a circuit court ruling. So it's a lot to keep track of. Obviously, lots of different bad laws out there in different states. Can you tell us like what happened? And then I guess we'll get into the back story of it.
All right. So Third Circuit, this is not just a regular, I think it was the en banc. So it was the highest you could do, the Third Circuit, because they just said that the assault weapons ban in New Jersey is illegal. Not illegal, unconstitutional. I mean, it's done. It's over. It is no longer viable law because it's been deemed unconstitutional, and it's like 100 and something page decision. So, you know, our people got to read it, and we got to see what actually is going on. What specifically does it say? So that's what we're doing now, but nobody's going to stop the celebration because it means that we can have 30-round magazines, adjustable stocks. We can have freaking muzzle devices again. Like we can do stuff that's legal in Jersey. Now, all the smarter people are holding off on it because you don't know what kind of dirty trick these douchebags are going to do because they always try to pull something. They already said it was legally, I don't know, they used some stupid word. But yeah, they lost. All right, the anti-gunners lost. The AG in New Jersey lost, and their bull crap is coming through. Now the judges quoted both Heller and New York Rifle and Pistol Club versus Bruin. So they quoted those decisions and pretty much was like, "This is obvious." I mean, you have to be boo-boo the fool not to be able to understand that what you have is unconstitutional. So that took care of the rifles and pistols and the magazine restrictions all off the table. I think they have still some work to do with the shotguns and something else. You know what I mean? I didn't get the specifics, but right now, yeah, huge win. Only one gun store that we know of is openly selling 30-round magazines in New Jersey right now. Everybody else is kind of cautious because we're in a state that will do things illegally, and you're still dependent on keeping your license through the state. You know what I mean? It's not just federal. So you could lose everything, even though the state lost. You could still lose your business. So many people are being cautious, but yes, celebrate 100%. That's a win. So the only thing New Jersey government can do is appeal to the Supreme Court. Well, you've already lost your Third Circuit twice. You can appeal to the Supreme Court if you want to, but what that's gonna do if they lose, which they will make assault weapons ban illegal across America and magazines restrictions illegal across America if they lose at the Supreme Court level. So right now, yeah, I mean, unless they come up with a new way, this is a win for us. And I won't have to go by those stupid rules. I won't have to have a set of magazines to actually take training outside of my state. So I'm not the slow dude slowing everybody down. We'll be on parity. with the bad guys now when it comes to arming yourself in your home. You can actually have 30 round mags. So yeah, it's a good thing. Cowardly ass companies that claim to be pro-American and pro-2A but won't ship to New Jersey. They can actually ship to New Jersey now and with no risk, which is what they wanted in the first place. You need to be pro-2A when there's no risk. But yep, so that's going to be great. That's a good thing. Sad thing is we got to convince people to keep fighting because there are other laws on the books that we have to get rid of. And sometimes when you win, people want to take their foot off the gas pedal. And we got to convince them that keep fighting, keep your foot on the gas. Look how we get these wins. We need money donated. We need time donated. We need volunteers for events, for fundraisers. Like, we can't stop now. This should be your motivation to keep going. And hopefully people do. But it's just awesome right now. I'm trying to temper myself because, again, you don't know what's going to happen. And doing what I do, hosting diversity shoots, I'm going to still have to abide by whatever the conservative thing is because the ranges we work with may not allow me to pull out 30 round mags at the range. You know what I mean? They may not allow some of the things on the range yet until they get more clarification from either their attorneys or from the Attorney General and the state police. And one of the things these douche canoes do will just hold off giving permission or even trying to clarify it. They'll either throw you a word salad or just no comment and let people's worst imagination kick in. I may lose my, you know what I mean? I may lose my business. They may inspect me, something, if I don't abide by the old rules, even though they've been deemed unconstitutional. But right now, a lot of people are happy. Some people are upset because they're like, oh, it means nothing because, you know, they don't understand civics. So they don't understand when a law has been deemed unconstitutional, that's what it is. I mean, blatantly, they said our assault weapons ban is unconstitutional. Thereby, it's no longer viable. So I just came from hanging out with the guys from the Coalition of New Jersey Firearm Owners, and pretty much that's their take on it. I was looking up the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, and their whole thing was, hey, something about an ATF letter. Like, in the I just got anything about that, about this particular win.
All right, so I didn't want to interrupt you too much there. I made some notes while you're chatting. So as far as the law, the assault weapons ban that has been ruled on, when did that law start? Like, when did they,
90,
what do they call it?
When? 91, I think. It was a year or two before the national assault weapons ban.
Okay, so I think that's a significant thing to mention, or at least to keep in mind, because this isn't like a reaction to Bruin or a reaction to Heller or something recent that is fragile potentially because it doesn't have longevity. This is something that's been around for, I mean, the for some people's whole lifetimes for sure. If it's 90, I mean, that's literally as long as, that's 30 years ago or something, right? So that's people's whole life, some people's whole lifetime, but definitely I would say a lot of people's whole like adulthood in guns or whatever you want to call it, like their, you know, their participation in the gun community. Like, so this is something that's gonna change, except for people that have been into guns for 30 years plus in New Jersey. You know what I mean? This is going to change New Jersey quite a bit.
This is multi-generational. This is a multi-generational win in the state of New Jersey. I just came from my doctor, young guy, you know what I mean, in his mid-30s, and he's a firearms owner, and we talk about guns, and he was like, what does this mean? I was like, well, it means the assault weapons ban doesn't stand. He was like, I didn't know we had an assault weapons ban. And that made it so clear to me how that frog in the boiling pot kind of thing works, right?
Uh-huh.
Like it was
Because like, I
always
can go to gun
understandable.
shops. I can buy guns. I didn't know we couldn't buy some guns because how would you know if you didn't look up and across a border into another state or something, into a different gun
Yeah,
shop and know what's possible? Yeah.
they were never an option for him. So he just never knew. I mean, he went to the gun shop that's in the town that he works in and bought whatever he wanted.
And he's a
Because that was
doctor, right? So it's not like he's some kid who's 16 and just figuring shit out. He's like an adult who has all the the capacity to
Mhm.
figure out something if he wanted to. He just didn't know there was more to learn. So again, I think that's important because this thing is decades old. And
Now,
is there another? I mean, I don't know if you know off the top of your head or not, but I know that like, man, who was the other state? Is it New? I think it's Massachusetts because I hear Toby talk about it,
mhm,
where they had theirs. I think before the national assault weapons ban started in '94.
mhm.
So this is one of, I don't know how many there are, like I said, but maybe a few assault weapons bans that are that old. So I'm glad to hear that something again like that, I don't know what to call it, like that anchored or that, that
Established, yeah.
that rooted, yeah, exactly, established, has been addressed. And then here's the other thing. So when we talk about maybe a state getting constitutional carry, what they're really doing, they're not really making new laws as much as taking an eraser and going and erasing a bunch of prohibitions. So that's what it sounds like this is going to do. It's not like they made a new law because the courts don't make laws. They just rule on the constitutionality of laws. So when they rule on something like this, is it literally like then some, I mean, I don't know if you know, but is it like some branch of the government on I would assume the legislative side has to task like some interns or something with like, now go write this law with all this stuff removed or whatever? Or like you're saying, is it like because they've got the discretion, they're going to go in and be like, oh, okay, we took out this part. Oh, you meant that part also? Well, I guess we'll have to go back to court to disguise, to figure out if you meant all that. Like, are they going to,
Well,
anyway, go ahead. I don't know if you know.
well,
how they're
we're
gonna do this.
well, no, that law's done. Done. However it's written is done. No mas.
So
So
in other
what they're
words, it
gonna,
was a bill that became law. So it has a bunch of words. They're going to basically just kind of rewind that. They'll go back and look at that law and say, okay, you're gone. And anything you edited goes back to the way it was. And then it'll just be like essentially an eraser. Like we're just going to remove
yeah,
this and move forward.
yep. That whole assault weapons ban, the way they have it written all the way through, is toilet paper now. So what they're going to have to do is go back and figure out how they can tap dance around yesterday's ruling and somehow still restrict our rights, ignoring, of course, the spirit of the law, and then squinting and come up with a way they can work their way around the letter of the law. And of course, use it as lies. That freaking loser that we have as a governor. Why do you call her a loser? It's not only because I don't, agree with her politically. It's her immediately using that, what do you call it? Something of authority argument that as a Navy pilot, I know firearms because I was an expert shot, and New Jersey was made more violent by yesterday's ruling, or more New Jerseyans are in danger because of yesterday's ruling. That's me paraphrasing her stupid ass statement. So yeah, they're gonna look at it like they're saving lives. That's the way they're gonna try to sell it. And it's like no one's life is in any more danger than it was yesterday, unless you're on the bridge between Trenton and Pennsylvania and you get caught in a stampede of people running across the border to buy 30-round magazines. Outside of that,
unless you're
fine.
like trying to get into like a pharmacy and there's a big line of people getting into the gun shop next door.
Yeah. That's the only way you're gonna get hurt is in a stampede of people crossing the bridge. Because again, most Jersey gun stores, everybody except one, because Derek is my boy, but it's crazy. He's the only one that went on Facebook today and said, "Hey, I'm selling 30-round magazines."
I mean, I'm assuming the way that it works is, they make a decision like this, and then it takes some amount of time to like actually remove, erase whatever I'm saying, like, the actual get rid of the law that's there. But it doesn't matter if it takes them a week or if it takes them 3 weeks. Technically, after today, they shouldn't be able to enforce a law that's unconstitutional. So they shouldn't be out persecuting people for that, whatever the law is
Exactly.
said. So basically, it's like a bunch of people in New Jersey have to take the initiative and start doing what the assault weapons ban would have prohibited, and then
Mhm.
do it in front of people, I guess, or like do it for some amount of time so that it can become established that that's just, that there is no law against it anymore. Or
Yeah.
it's going to be a bunch of stunts like mayors and governor, or not governor, but I guess, but mayors and shit of like little towns trying to take out, sending their cops in to take out. Well, actually, I don't know if they can. Can they send in police to take out a gun shop for doing something? Well, I
Nope.
guess they can do something about like like you said, like a state permit or something. Like if there's some stupid state rule that
Mhm.
they have to. Well, there's always the state rule of like you have to be able to, what is it called? Like be in a commercial business. You can't do business out of a house or something, or like out of a telephone booth. So they could always take their business permit or something stupid like that. I
Oh,
guess even though if they can't take their FFL.
so they can harass the hell out of you. I mean,
Yeah, harass.
uh, yeah. If anybody, because most look, our guys who listen to this show are special. They remember history. They not the goldfish that only depends on social media and their favorite talking head. These guys are a lot smarter than that when it comes to this. So they remember what it was like when towns passed mandates, but they weren't laws, and then they enforced them using every dirty trick in the book. That can happen here in Jersey, 100%. So that's one of the things we have to worry about. And as business owners, you have a lot at stake, especially if you're a gun store owner. So a lot of them are being conservative. My boy Derek over at SC Arms is not. He's hanging it all out. He's gone 100%. He's a younger guy, wife and a kid, and his business that he just opened up a new store. So pretty much the longer other gun stores are more conservative and holding off, the more free ads and free notice that he gets from people and business that he'll get to his new store. And I'm sure he's weighed, risk versus reward, and he's going to go with the risk. And I'm cool with it. So if you want to check him out, go ahead. There's no right or wrong answer. There's just risk. He's risking being shut down. He's risking, them trying to make a example out of him. That's what he's risking. But more power to him. These people are cowards. They don't believe in the law. They just believe in using the law to enforce their will.
Well, I think that's an interesting. Did you hear that somewhere, or did you just come up with that? Because
I just said it.
Yeah, that's interesting, dude. Because I didn't know. Because that, when you say that, we should probably write that one down. Because, like you say, they want to use the law, but how was I going to say this? Like the fact that they would bring up another gun control law means that they understand their laws don't work. I'm saying it way twistier than what you said there, but yeah, I think that should almost be like a bumper sticker or something, because I think that is one of those, like, they're going to come up and say like, oh, we now need a red flag law. Okay, so red flag laws, and what happened to the last law? Like, well, how come we're not paying attention to your losing record on all these other laws that you've brought up that are going to fix everything?
Yeah, all of them going to fix everything. And when the Supreme Court or the other courts again rule that it's unconstitutional, oh yeah, they got it legally incorrect. I think that's the term they used the other day, legally incorrect. I'm like, no, they didn't. You did. This is the second time you've lost, and you've lost in Third Circuit. You know what I mean? You lost in the Third Circuit. You lost here.
Now, what's interesting, I haven't done any looking at this, and I don't know anybody else that has, so I don't know if there's anybody that has. But I also don't know everything, so somebody might have totally done this. But we've got, like, we know what we got. We got the NRA, we got GOA, we got SAF, and then we got FPC. Those are pretty much the ones that do the lawsuits. And then we have people like Michael Cargill, or, people that just decided to do lawsuits that ended up being fruitful and successful for our side. But for the most part, we have organizations, right? What does the other side have? Like, obviously, they have Bloomberg, but what the fuck else do they have besides the politicians deciding this is going to be their thing? You know, like Pelosi's gone. What was the other one? I can't remember the names of all the anti-gunners because they're all gone now. Luckily, they're all old and left. But some of them have decided to like take on that banner, right? Beto or something. And, you know, there's a couple of them that hate guns still. But aside from the politicians who have like, you know, like publicity to gain from this, what, like, who's their architect or strategist or whatever it would be called? You know, not necessarily the pocketbook, but who's the person making calls, or maybe like the group of people making calls? Do they have that? Like, is the stuff that we're seeing like in Massachusetts and shit just like random, you know, just the effect of like just random people hating guns, and, you know, or is it like part of a bigger thing? What the hell? Part of a bigger, you know, scheme or something?
All right, so yes, there's a bigger scheme, and it's not just about guns. It's about our freedoms, period. There's a whole agenda about that. Guns is one of those last holdouts that allow people to even think and feel that they have power to push back against the government. I mean, we saw it and think, oh, you can't, they'll do drone strikes. Only the dumbest human beings on earth say things like that about our government, because all you have to do is pay attention to the things we have physically seen. We have physically seen the Bundy Ranch standoff and watched the government back down from armed citizens in our lifetime. We've seen that. Now, it's not my fault that most people can't remember it, but yes, we've seen armed civilians stand against the government and the government back down.
And that wasn't like, that's a great point, because that wasn't like a super calm, nobody was concerned situation. Like, everyone thought that was about to become a new Waco shit or something. Not Waco, Ruby Ridge or some shit.
Yeah, and that's why regular citizens said, it's not going to become a Ruby Ridge on my freaking watch. Not while we're seeing it. Nope, not happening. And they strapped up from around the country and came out. And, you know, there's still people, oh, well, the Bundys weren't. Hey, listen, just like Supreme Court cases, just like court cases that set precedent, sometimes the person that we're backing isn't going to be Mother Teresa walking on water, but we're going to have to take a side and stand on principle. And that's what that was.
Yeah, what you got there, what you're explaining is the tendency of people who are not gonna to explain why they're not gonna, and they're not gonna because it's that guy's fault. You know, that guy's not perfect, so I'm not gonna. No, you weren't gonna, and you're looking for an excuse to say why you're not gonna, so that you don't look like a lazy or, you know, not interested.
Well, it's hard to stand in this whole, you know, you can have this fake air of authority because you're not joining because this guy's not perfect. And you have to look at him going, you don't want, like you said, you were never going to. And let me tell everybody else who's listened to the person that never was going to, almost no one in the history of America, at least, was that perfect person that walks on water human being that you should get behind because, you know, they were the new Jesus. I was like, no. Well, Martin Luther King Jr., and then they go ahead and say some stuff about his personal life. Yeah, okay. If we shine a light on you, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there are going to be things that pop up. So stop waiting for perfect and stand for something. And that's what has happened here. This is a long-standing fight. We've won this round, and it's a pretty big round. It's a decisive round, but the fight is never over. And this is a traveling fight, whether the fight is here or across the border in New York, further up in Connecticut, down in Maryland, the fight continues. This was a win. The bell is still going to ring, and we're going to have to go back out there. So if you live in Jersey or anybody affected by the Third Circuit, congratulations on your freedoms today. If you haven't joined a group, join a group, because this is what happens when we win. One of the great things about wins is it does motivate people to join the winning team. So hopefully we get a bunch of membership in the organizations. If you guys want to join Coalition New Jersey Firearms Owners, please do. CNJFO.com and become a member. That'll be great. And if you want to shoot them a message that says, hey, Tony told me to join and I did, good, do it. Awesome. If you don't want to join that one, we have also Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, ANJRPC. They are the New Jersey State NRA Association. You can join that. And if you live somewhere else, cool, join anyway. We need all the help because your money works here too. And we have other lawsuits that we have going on. We got the Hollow Point lawsuit coming up. So we can actually have hollow points in our defensive firearms other than at home and in the guns at the range, because those are the only two places legally you can have it. Supposedly you can't even carry hollow points in your self-defense pistol in New Jersey.
Dude, you can't even have them in a box, right? You can't even own them.
Okay, check this out. This is how dumb it is. Now, this is the letter of the law, and you can be prosecuted on the letter of the law. So don't even, if you're out there going, that's ridiculous. You can't have a hollow point outside of the range or in your home. So for a while, there were these keychains with the bullet in it, right? The round in it, the inert round with the hole drilled straight through the side of the case. And then it had a projectile in it. Well, in Jersey, that projectile has to be full metal jacket. It cannot be a hollow point or you can be prosecuted.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and that applies to just anybody who's minding their business, like flies through I guess you're not going to fly with that, but drive through New Jersey, take a bus or train through New Jersey, something happens and it stops. Yeah. You're subject to go arrest for shit like that.
So
any other flight's over. Or no, you got to worry about that.
Oh, no. We got to, that's on the docket. So the crazy part about that is that's a cool little thing, right? That's a cool little knickknack. You can make it yourself. You don't even have to buy it. For a long time, that was one of the things they had at gun shows. They had them at, sometimes at the gas station as one of those little money-maker tchotchkes to get you to drop $1 or whatever on this thing. So you get it. You put it on your book bag or your backpack, right? As just a key puller, to unzip your backpack. You can grab the little bullet. You could get arrested in New Jersey and charged for hollow point possession. You're on the gun and the round is not live. And you can't throw it fast enough to get that bullet to spread. So how is it a danger to anybody? It's not, but it violates New Jersey gun law. So that's why it's important that we get these things shut down, because it's not the intentional target that they talk about. It's the unintended consequences. The people that get caught up in that. Oh, well, what difference does it make about that? Okay, you're flying to whatever free place. You're going to fly into Philadelphia from your free place because you have a shooting competition or you carry and you're flying into Philly or you're flying into Pennsylvania and your flight gets diverted because of a storm to Newark and they shut it down and you got to go pick up your gun. Well, you got a magazine that has too many rounds for Jersey, which doesn't count today, by the way, awesome sauce. But you also have hollow points. Hollow points are illegal. You can go to jail. Oh, but I was traveling from one point to the other. Doesn't count if they make you pick your gun up and you leave the airport because they got to rebook your flight. Doesn't count. And that's one of the things that the ATF is looking over right now. And that's what ANJRPC wants you to change and write letters currently. Well, I guess the storm followed me. We have a hurricane storm conditions supposedly going on in Jersey right now. I guess it chased me down. Yep. Here we go.
Thought you were going to outrun it.
Hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I ran it. I got here, but I was sitting in the car BSing, so that's okay. I'll be in the car.
It doesn't rain long here because it's the desert, but when it rains, it rains. So I've done that where it's like, dang it, and I got to sit in the car for like 25 minutes because it's, I don't feel like getting soaked if I would wait 25 minutes, it won't be raining.
Yep, pretty much that's where I'm at.
So you're not close enough to the ocean though to smell seawater and shit, are you?
Oh no, I'm in Trenton. I don't want to be nowhere near the ocean in Jersey during the summer. Everybody goes down there. Traffic is just ridiculous. It's nuts here. These people in their freaking beach, or as they call it, the shore. There's nothing about that.
Like, even if you're not involved with it, there's so many people there that you just can't get around. It's not worth
Imagine, imagine, imagine a seasonal Disneyland. That's what it's like living at the shore.
And now what's going to
So-
happen is everyone's going to have an assault rifle, an assault weapon.
Oh, yeah.
excuse me.
They're just going to be walking up and down the beach with their fully automatic 30
This was my
round.
beach blanket.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
They're
that was
fully
my beach
automatic
blanket. My bad.
clipazine. They're going to have their clipazine with the shoulder thing that goes up, and they're going to fire 30 clips a minute. It's just going to be the wild, wild west. There's going to be blood flowing in the streets.
Well, I would
Um,
say it would be, except that they'll be cooking things with their bullets because the bullets have so much energy in them.
Oh, yeah, and it's going to blow holes in. So
I think that was
The
a New
annoying-
Jersey quote. I think the 50 caliber blows or cooks the deer or something. I think she was New Jersey.
I don't know.
Anyway.
The problem is this. Imagine in any other part of your life, you said something so almost epically stupid that you became a meme and it was part of your job and you got to keep your job.
Yeah, seriously, it shows how profoundly unaware you are, and it becomes like a joke for decades, and then they're still sitting there. In fact, they're what's her face was making money the whole freaking time, like just making a shit ton of money insider trading the whole time.
Yeah. So
Not thinking of
they-
Pelosi, the older one, the one who was like Mr. and Miss America,
Yeah.
take all your guns. I
Dianne-
forget her name.
Dianne Feinstein.
Feinstein, yeah, she made tons of money, and she just sat there the whole time smiling and watching everybody get pissed, frustrated. And I didn't want to say it before, but now this makes me want to say it now. Whenever you're talking about the, like in this case, the third circuit ruled down that the law in New Jersey is unconstitutional, the asshole attorney generals and legislatures who still like this law are going to use taxpayer time and money to, and their salaries or whatever, to put up some other dumbass law. Like all of that'll be taxpayer money funded and, time spent. Like they're going to get paid on the clock to do all that shit. Super frustrating.
Well, listen, there's lots of frustration to go around, all right? Understand when you live in Jersey and you have politicians. If you go to my page right now, I just reposted a politician that's blatantly saying he doesn't want those people, and he named cities that were mostly brown. The population is mostly brown. You don't want those people to be able to get firearms, do you? And of course, no media picks it up. Now, firearms, Second Amendment organizations and firearms owners have reposted that for the last 3 to 4 years since Douche Canoe said it. He's been reelected. Our journalists here don't mention it, don't bring it up. And it's like, how can you say something blatantly racist, and get reelected and not have it brought up at all? And it's like, because he's on your team. If he was on the red team and he said something that blatantly racist, they'd have it all over every network. They don't. So that's a frustration when you want people, when you listen to journalists ask, why don't you take them seriously? This is why. You're partisan. Not even partisan, you're propagandist. You've picked a team.
Yeah, and when you watch them, I've seen I've listened, I guess, to NPR because that's the only source I have usually. But NPR will occasionally scrutinize themselves, I guess, or like turn the magnifying glass on themselves, or they'll, when they're talking about elections or something, they'll be like, "How come Democrats are so unelectable?" And they'll be like, "Well, here's some reasons why. Like everybody got upset when they weren't their opinions weren't whatever appreciated during 2020." Or they'll just bring up these points, but it's like, yeah, you're bringing up the most obvious like conflicts or whatever that in the most general terms. But what NPR and these other, well, we do it too, so it's not like just the other side does it. But what both sides fail to do is to actually pay attention to what the other side interprets or how the other side understands it to be, and then actually have from the 30,000 foot view, or from both points of view, actually make a decision, result from that. but they don't. They just stand back to back at the borderline and go, these people refuse to talk to us, and it's frustrating. And then the other ones are back to back saying, these people refuse to talk to us, and it's frustrating. And I'm not saying that either side is right and that by looking at each other's sides, we're going to somehow find this common ground and everybody's happy. But in reality, what we'll end up doing when we offer common ground is we'll see that on our particular fight here, our challenge, the antis will never agree to have a real conversation. The best we can hope for is in the medical arena a little bit. And what we're seeing there, I suspect like they're going to learn real fast. Like they can't compete with us. We are correct with stuff. We do have the numbers. What they have to depend on is the the slanted perspective, like saying children are 19 years old. Like, they need to spend or have that number to be able to have that, what's that word? Like the marketing point of like children dying from guns or whatever, or killed from guns, because they have to bring in 19-year-olds, and that means they're bringing in crime. So they do these kind of things. And once we have an actual debate where we actually quit, the propaganda on both sides, they understand that they're going to lose to the middle ground, right? They're going to lose their positioning.
Well, it's because, again, I mean, you said it, and I believe there's another side. See, there's our side, there's their side, and there's the people that don't even pay attention to any of this stuff. So we each see our side, and then we think we have a perception of what the other side is, and we don't understand that there's a huge majority in the middle that does not care, because this doesn't affect their life one way or the other, and they can't see how it would.
Yeah, and they get sick of the bickering, and they don't want to care. They don't care about this.
Yeah, they don't care about this. It's like almost, I don't know, how do I put it in something everybody understands? It's like someone talking about FIFA to me right now.
Yeah, seriously. I understand the rest of the world gives a shit. If you gave me $1,000, I wouldn't be able to tell you who's playing or what teams exist. Like, I wouldn't tell you. I can tell you what the soccer ball looks like, probably. That's about it.
If it wasn't for the fact that there are signs up on the road everywhere, highway signs telling us about delays in traffic because of the FIFA games, and it's on the turnpike here as far away as Trenton. You still get on, and they're telling you about traffic jams you're going to run into in North Jersey, which is an hour away on the turnpike doing 70 miles an hour. That's the only reason we know it, and that's really what it's like to the majority of Americans when it comes to firearms ownership. I mean, again, my doctor was like, wait a minute, there's an assault weapons ban here? Because he's not a gun guy into the advocacy. He's just a dude that wanted to buy a pistol and a rifle, and he owns them. And he was like, well, what difference does it make to me right now? He said, what does it mean? I get to put on a... He said, what does it mean? I get to put on a bayonet lug? And I was like, well, yes, actually, it does mean you can have a bayonet lug on your rifle now. But it also means you can have more than that 10-round magazine, and you don't have to have a fixed stock. And this is when I knew it, but to hear it come back at me to get positive reinforcement over something I already knew, he was like, well, yeah, I totally understand that, like the adjustable stock thing. He said, but if I want it, I just buy another rifle and have a shorter stock. I'm like, bro, yes, to legally have it done in Jersey, this is the way you do it. You're a dude, right? You're a taller guy. You have your AR-15 with an adjustable stock. You go to the store. I want that one. They pull it out to where you want it. That's good for you? Yes. They pin your stock. Now you have a fixed stock. All right, cool. You've ran your rifle. You've had it. You marry a girl who's 5'1". Well, the length of pull on your rifle is too long for her. Well, your option in Jersey was to either buy her own rifle, or buy another rifle and have it pinned with a shorter stock, or buy a new stock for the rifle that you have and have it pinned at the shorter thing. In a free state, all they do is push the little button on the side to adjust the freaking stock. But if that's the only options you've ever had and you've not gone shooting in other states, you wouldn't know that. If you don't watch YouTube videos and you're not really into guns, I mean, you bought a lawnmower, you're not watching lawnmower videos. Same thing can go with a firearm.
Seriously,
Yeah.
I buy all kinds of things and I don't go watch videos unless it's some complicated thing that I like need to fix or something. I'm not watching a video about it.
Is that the zero turn Husqvarna? Yo, I just watched a video on that the other day. No, you just get a friggin' push more. You don't even know you don't even know who makes it. I think it's a Craftsman. I don't know. I think it's a Toyo. Same thing with firearms. So yeah, this is a guy who's a young guy who talks to me about firearms and taking defense class, got his carry permit, and now he also told me, hey man, I let my carry permit lapse. And I'm looking at him and I'm trying not to look at him in disgust, right? Because I've been in the fight since 2012 to make sure he had one. Or at least had the opportunity to get one. And I was like, yeah, I just let it lapse. I was busy. It's like, you ungrateful. Woo! Now I understand why there are generations of Americans get disgusted by a younger generation. It's like, wait a minute, I fought in World War II for you to buy a Japanese car?
Yeah, the biggest flip is that you do, right? Like all those people did do sacrifice and suffer and work and effort and, put effort into it, all this stuff that happened through all those years so that some kid can sit around playing video games. I mean, that is freedom, I guess. It's frustrating, but it is freedom. Like it's their right and it's like their destiny if they want to do it. But
100% right, dude. But I'm sitting there looking at him like, you so-and-so.
yeah.
Really, you let your freaking carry permit? Okay. And I'm laughing because this is funny to me,
right? Because theoretically, that's a thing. But yeah, knowing like a friend essentially that's
well, he was never in the fight, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my guys today from CNJFO at Aberdeen Guns and Ammo's 4th anniversary. And we're all celebrating the freedom and feeling good. And then I went, hey guys, I just realized something. What? We had a black president before we got carry permits and got rid of the assault weapons ban in New Jersey. How crazy is that?
Yeah. 10 years after too, right? Like it wasn't like
yeah,
all at one time. Yeah. And it's been years since Obama even left. So, you know what I mean? It's been like 3 presidents since he left. So it's not like so there's no blip or nothing. Yeah.
So it's like, bro, that is whew. Anyway. Somebody's asking, could this help SCOTUS turn over all bans? Okay, so the Supreme Court is on the schedule for 2027. It's supposedly the end of this year or 2027 to hear an assault weapons ban case. They're going to use this case just like they use Bruen and just like they use Heller and just like they use McDonald in the argument. And it looks like it's probably going to be a win for us. It might be a win for us in court that wipes out all assault weapons bans. If this trend continues, right? I mean, because we had 3 years ago, 4 years ago with the Bruen decision. Before that, we had the Heller decision. Before that, we had the McDonald. All of those cases built upon each other. That's the staircase they used to get us to where we are in New Jersey today. Oh, great.
They dealt with what? What were you saying? This is a staircase?
Hold on. All right. I was getting a flood warning coming across. Yeah, like I don't know it. I'm in my parking lot watching it fill with water. This is the staircase. Those cases, as they become wins, that's the staircase we have our freedoms built on right now. All those wins build upon each other. So yes, this Third Circuit Court decision will be used in the assault weapons case when it comes to SCOTUS, either this year or next year.
So you're saying that the Supreme Court will look at the lower courts and
they will look at. Well, excuse me.
Obviously they look at it, but
our side will use it. Well, our side can use this in the argument about the precedent being set.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, and that's the thing, and then that's what the Supreme Court uses. They'll expect the entities involved to present them with data, and this is data for our side that's positive.
Yeah.
So
I
in
mean,
that case, I'd
understand.
say yes. I was going to say my answer, if I was going to just answer that before you said anything, I was going to say no, because what does the higher courts care about the lower courts? Unless the lower courts are bothering the upper courts ignore them. I thought that's supposed to be like that. But what you say makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So it's going to be used in the argument because they didn't lose just once; they lost twice. They lost twice in Third Circuit. So yes, that argument is going to be now. The frustrating part again is, to me, the frustrating part is this is very plain. The Supreme Court pretty much said if it's not the history or tradition, it can't be a gun law. Period. We all understood that. Without being a legal scholar, we can understand that if it wasn't the law when the founding fathers founded this nation, or at least in their lifetime, because that's what we're going on, while the founders were still alive, then it doesn't count. And they all going to pretend that's not what was said and try to work ways around it. I mean, it's almost like arguing with a child or just somebody illogical because they have an agenda and they're not going to come off of it because it doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't cost them anything to lie to you and say there's going to be blood in the streets if you get a carry permit. And then when there's no bloods in the streets, nobody goes, hey, you were the moron that said this was going to be the Wild Wild West. You don't get to keep this job. That does not happen.
Yeah, we need to go, oh, really? Let's bet $5 on it so that there is some sort of repercussion on it.
No, not less by $5. How's this? If the crime rate drops and there are no mass shootings or blood running in the streets, you don't run for re-election.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. That kind of challenge in debates or whatever. Like, if you stand behind this so much and it passes, then stand
Put your money where your mouth is. Put your career on the line. You do not run for re-election.
I don't think there's any politician, I might be wrong, but I don't think there's any politician that just runs on I hate guns. I hate guns is like one of their things. Like, I love the environment. I love puppies. I hate guns and I hate violence, right? Like, so it's like one of those things they get a pass on because they're not standing on it when it shows that it doesn't have any, they can't put weight on it. Like, it doesn't matter because they got so many other things, that but that's why I think we need move an Overton window, like changing public opinion. So that it's just right now they're only doing it. I don't even think they hate guns, honestly. Like, some of them probably just don't give a shit about guns, just like most people. It's just that they have to because it's their party line, or they assume that it's going to make them, it's good for votes or whatever. But if we make it where it's not good for votes and they know it, like, because everybody is okay with guns, it'd be like, you know what I mean? Nobody runs on like, I hate puppies, because everybody knows that nobody hates puppies really. So why would they run on that? So if we can move it to where, when we move it back to where guns are just a thing again, then I think politicians leave it alone, except for like Bloomberg, who had some incentive, I think, financially or whatever, like trying to be famous. You're still going to always get your politicians that are like, I was affected by guns, or guns are my hill to die on, or whatever they're going to say.
So my problem with it is you're right, but it's what we should be able to do. And again, the media doesn't put it forward. Most people don't think about this stuff. They like to think they're informed, but they're informed by the media. So are you informed, or are you propagandized? Or are you manipulated?
Right. And even if you don't believe that what you're watching is propaganda, it's like, are you selectively informed? Like, are you actually looking for data, or are you just sitting back, turning on a show and letting the data that they decided is important be fed to you, which we believe is propaganda? But you know what I mean? I could see why someone who's like, no, it's not propaganda. They're just telling me the story. They just don't like Trump because Trump's such an asshole. Big deal. Everybody hates Trump. Like they'll blow off some of the stuff that some people find distasteful about the data, but then they'll, justify the data because it's legit. Like, oh, this came from a real, it has 3 letters on it. It's real. But again, like I say, I don't necessarily need to challenge them. Like, okay, fine, your news is great. Like, you don't have fake news. I got the fake news, but who decided what stories you're going to hear? And do you watch like 8 newses so that you hear 17 stories every day, or are you just hearing 3 newses that tell you the same 8 stories from 3 different flavors? Because
Yeah,
I think that's the form of propaganda, that the soft propaganda, maybe. I don't know what the word is for that, but like the way that people don't realize they're being manipulated or fucked
hmm
with, because again, like, oh, really? Like red flag laws are so great an idea. Like it solves so many problems. Like, how many things have you heard that actually scrutinize it? Well, nothing, because it's such a bad idea. Like, okay, then you're only listening to one side of it. Like, because everything on our side is anti. Like, you're never going to hear
hmm
anything that promotes it on our side either. So anyway, that's the kind of shit that um everybody, there's too many people profiting on that fucking gap, and guns aren't a thing. I mean, they are a thing for people who are gun owners. Like, they're a hobby of ours. We're aware of them, but I'm a gun owner. I've got more guns than most people, and I don't think about my guns every 5 minutes or nothing. You know what I mean? I think about my gun when it's in my pocket or something, and I'm like doing something with it or whatever, and I'm maybe taking pictures of them or something. But I don't think most people are worrying about I worry about my dog, 1,000 times more in a day than I worry about my guns, and probably about my car more than my guns, my keys more than my guns, right? My phone a million times more than my guns. So I think we all have other things that we're doing. It's just that because we're competent and comfortable with guns, like, we're able to incorporate guns with our other stuff, and people that it's new to them or different, or they're not familiar with them, they just can't fathom how you'd have a gun, along with your keys and your watch and your wallet and crap like that. You know what I mean? Like, some
hmm
people it's just unusual to them. And I think that's all we got to do. We just need an organization that doesn't try to rip us off for $30 a month, but instead says, hey, let's make guns normal.
And
It's our
that's
goal.
one of
Let's
the
just make
things.
guns normal. Come up with great ideas to make guns normal, and just every time we come up with a great idea, double down on it, so that essentially, tell a gun owner, I'm a gun owner. Like, are you a gun owner? Oh, you're not a gun owner? Well, I'm not. I'm normal. I'm just a gun owner. So if there's some campaign like that for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, however long it would take, all of a sudden, when Moms Demand get up there and go, what the problem is? Guns. People would be able to comfortably go, well, how come you don't take away knives or garages with the car running inside? How come you only are worried about guns? And then what's their answer to that? Gun safety. Like, they can't have an answer to that. They have no answer to that. They're
They
never
have no
challenged.
exactly. They have no answer to most things. All they have is what they've been fed. They've never looked into it because, well, it reinforced a bias they may have already had, or they don't even know they have it because, well, that's what I've always seen. And I'm like, yeah, that's not even true in the least bit. I'm like, we're talking about guns save lives. I'm like, using a low number, 400,000 people a year save the lives of guns, and that's using the lower number that we have for that statistic. Um, and that dwarfs the 40,000 lives are supposedly lost a year to quote unquote gun violence. And then when you have that, people look at you like, no, that can't possibly be true. They've never said that on the mainstream media. Yeah, because they've
Yeah.
never even asked that question. No one asks how many lives are saved each year. They usually get. I mean, I've never heard anybody actually ask that. Have you? In a debate?
I'm not going to say I've never, because I'm sure at some point over the years, somebody's been on to represent like NRA or somebody, and they probably said something like, guns are, it's exactly what you said, because that's basically what the data is. We have
No, no,
some
no, no.
data.
I'm not
Well,
saying that one of on our side. I'm saying, has a reporter ever asked
well, I'm
the
saying
anti-gun?
I'm sure I've seen reporters who've had like both anti and pro on, or maybe an anti-reporter interviewing a pro reporter. And
Mm-hmm.
in those situations, the pro person might bring it up. But I guess what I'm going to try to say is that always implies, and this is my problem with self-defense stuff in general, like when you say 400,000 lives were saved with guns, and no one, that's what we're trying to talk about, that implies that there was like 400,000 gunfights. And I would like the people to like clarify when they bring up that statistic, the 400,000, that low number that you're talking about, because the high number is like 3 million people are defending themselves with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's mostly brandishing. That's mostly like, hey, I've got a gun, leave me alone. Like, that's mostly like, there was something going on in a parking lot. We don't know if it was going to go down or not, but I pulled my gun out of my purse and my flashlight, and that person scurried away. So, you know what I mean? I got to my car and I went home. If the people would explain it like that, that's the defensive uses of guns, is just like the confidence of being able to get to your car in your parking lot and knowing that the other person is not gonna outforce you or whatever, you know, like outnumber you or whatever the word is. That's the part where I wish they would explain or clarify, I guess, when they're saying, you know, trying to justify the positive uses of firearm, because I think, like I just say again, like I think the antis hear that and they think that like there's 400,000 gunfights, or we're somehow standing on the shoulders of 400,000, you know, exchanges of bullets or something.
But here's the thing: even if you explained it to them, usually in those situations, they're not.
The
problem is this.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, and also the problem is this: for us to point out their lie, they can tell a lie in 10 seconds, and it'll take us 30 minutes to explain how that lie they said was not only wrong in every which way, but by then, who is ever listening, they've stopped listening, and it really sucks, because if you go, hey, you just told a bald ass lie, and I shouldn't even have to talk to you anymore if this were an honest debate. I mean, that's really what you should be able to say, but all of a sudden you're not a nice person because they're calm. Why are you upset? Because they lied. I was like, the sad part is this.
And you know that's a lie, but most people don't know it's a lie. So it's like doesn't seem deceiving to the audience.
I'm like, it's the equivalent of someone telling you point blank to your face that tires on your car are square. That's how big of the lie is. They're telling us that if you know anything about vehicles, i.e. just that wheels are round, you should be insulted by what they said. That's what we're dealing with as gun owners and advocates. They will tell a bold face, water is not wet, the sky is not blue, and wheels are square. And the people they're talking to don't know the difference. And they're like, okay, that sounds viable. And you're like, no, but the sky is blue, and this is why the sky is blue, and wheels don't roll if they're square. This is how physics work. Nope. No one's listening. So that's the frustrating part doing what we do. It's like, wow, we have to be right every time, and they can lie every time. I mean, truthfully, our debate shouldn't be any more than where's the blood running in the street? Where's the wild, wild west shootouts that were continually supposed to happen in New Jersey when over 70,000 people got carry permits?
Or talk about the 29 states with constitutional carry. Like, it's just silence there. You know what I mean? Like, not even. I mean, maybe there is, but I don't even know of any individual stories that they would hang a hat on or whatever it's called. You know, used as this is why constitutional carry is so bad, because remember this incident. Like, there is no incident like that, and it's been. Wow, I don't even know. 2010, it's been 16 years of constitutional carry, and now to 29 states. But like you say, even in the states like yours, where it's not constitutional carry and it's fairly restrictive, whenever there is a removal of some of the restrictions, again, silence on the consequence, on the positive, or what we call like neutral consequences. It's not like there's positive consequences. Sometimes the positive consequences of better gun laws for us, like better or less gun laws, is less crime. I would call that a positive consequence, but they'll almost never, you know, allow the relationship between low crime and guns. Like that was a coincidence. Like that is not, you can't cite, you know, there's no scientific proof. There's no reputable scientists that'll suggest that more guns would create less crime.
Yeah. So it's frustrating, but my whole thing is when we win like we did yesterday, it is so sweet. And then to listen to them cry, whine, and gnash their teeth about the assault weapons ban is gone. Now there's going to be death in the streets. And I'm listening to the governor. I'm like, bitch, all it means is I can have an adjustable stock and an effing bayonet lug. That's it. I can have an adjustable stock and a bayonet lug on my rifle and a different muzzle device. I don't have to pay extra. I can get the A2 bird cage. That's all that's changed. And you're trying to get people to panic over the horrible things that can happen. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I can have more rounds in my firearm now. Like the other, how many? 40 states that don't have magazine limitations. No, see, the problem is the cost to us as freedom-loving, law-abiding Americans. Our entire life can get wrecked over a 30-round magazine. No one's any more danger from me whether I have a 10-round mag or a 30-round mag. The danger is to me from my own government, if depending on what I have. I'm the one that's in danger. That's the sigh of relief that you hear from Jersey, from the gun owners that know. It's not that this whole new plethora of guns are available. It's the fact that I can lose my effing freedom for years on end because I own an inanimate object that didn't have a magazine cutoff, that didn't have a rivet in it. That's the sigh of relief. And that's what they lost. They lost that control over us. And that's what they hate. So they're trying to push it as if somehow people are unsafer. They're not. It's just that when I come across that bridge driving into the state, when I come from training in different states, when I come from training in Pennsylvania, when I come from training in South Carolina or Georgia, that I didn't have to leave my mags at someone's house that's in a free state. It means I could go directly from my house to a training area without having a detour to a friend's house to pick up the things that are illegal in my state. You understand how frustrating and stupid that is? That I have to make a trip. If I'm training in Ohio, I have to stop at a friend's house in Pennsylvania to pick up the thing and then get back on my route to go. And then coming back, I have to make sure I do that too. And as a government employee, that means if I get arrested for this stupid thing, if I have an 11-round magazine rather than a 10, I'll lose my pension, and I might as well have not even gotten a state job that I got.
Outcast is asking, is this just for New Jersey? So is a Third Circuit Court ruling on a New Jersey law, and then did they get rid of the Hollow Point bullshit?
Hollow Point is a totally different one. That's a totally different lawsuit. Hopefully we win that one too. Who else is in the Third Circuit?
They're smaller over there, so I have no idea. They're like massive over here, and they're small over there. Well, your states are smaller, so it makes more sense. I guess it's probably by population or something. Was this something that you knew was coming yesterday? Like it was anticipated, or was it a surprise?
No, because they said they were gonna put it on hold. They said they were going to put their ruling on hold, and they didn't. So it covers Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Nice.
Nice.
That's a weird set of states, but I did track the circuit courts once for some map, but I don't remember it. Like I say, I remember the ones back east being really small, or at least tiny compared to back here.
Well, the cool thing about the Pennsylvania thing is it kicks the assholes in Philadelphia in the dick. Because they always try to act as if Philly's a whole new world and a whole nother world. You know, things are different here. Shut up. Things are no different in Philly than they is in Langhorne, that it is in Hanover, that it is in Harrisburg.
What you don't realize, though, Tony, is they have a bell there that everybody else doesn't have.
Yeah. Well, the people here are different. Yeah, you've allowed to get away with all kinds of crap and have crime out there. Yin yang, because you people suck. Yeah, that's what's different. You're criminals. Holy crapola, baby. Man, my car is in a lake right now. It finally stopped and the sun came up, so I'm trying to slide in my house.
I could hear the wind and lightning and shit for a while there.
Holy crap.
So if you can do it while you're doing your thing here, want to summarize it for Outcast and others who might, because there's a lot more people watching now than when we first started. Summarize what we're talking about and what happened in New Jersey.
All right, what happened in New Jersey is the Third Circuit Court was en banc. That means they got 8 judges together. I think that's how many it was, to rule on the assault weapons ban. They said they were going to put it on hold and see what the Supreme Court ruled, and they didn't. They surprised us all with a ruling that said the assault weapons ban is unconstitutional that New Jersey had. Third Circuit, just as I read, covers Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So that has changed in those places only. The thing is, New Jersey can only appeal to the Supreme Court now. So they don't want to do that because they're going to get their butts handed to them, and the Supreme Court won't take it anyway because they already have an assault weapons ban case coming up next year or at the end of this year.
And you
So
said
as
this
far
is the second time they've got slapped down calling this unconstitutional, so they'd have like very little standing, right?
Yeah, they got very little standing because the Third Circuit has agreed twice that the law is unconstitutional. That is unconstitutional. So they don't have a leg to stand on if they wanted to go to Supreme Court. Supreme Court probably wouldn't even take the case. It stands. So now Jersey does not have magazine limitations. And the assault weapons, the things on the assault weapons ban, like the M1 carbine and the story I told you guys before, are now no longer on that list because that list is unconstitutional. Now, doesn't mean that everybody's lining up at every gun store because, again, these people run a business here and they know that the government really does not care about the law. They only care about the law when they can't force it on you. So they're all being leery of what this actually means. But to the everyday citizen, this is a win, guys. And that's what it means to us. That means that, yes, as soon as the gun stores get it together, you're going to be able to buy stuff that's cool here in Jersey without having to have it pinned. You know what I mean? Having it pinned or having it restricted or not being able to buy 15-round magazines and stuff like that. Whew.
I'm going to hit some of the questions. So a question came in from before we even started the show, just when I first posted everything earlier today. Somebody electric something or another said, 4041 barrel, is it best or not? So 4041 is a type of steel. I guess nowadays barrels are typically made with either 4040 or 4140 or 4150. And I'm assuming just from other research I've done on metals, you know, the 4140, the 4150 is code for some, or is probably some kind of code of what the makeup is of them. But just doing a quick internet look, it says that the 4040 is the kind of standard steel and it's tough, and the 4050 is a little tougher, and the durability on the 4040 or 4140 is good, where the 50 is excellent, and the 40 has been like the standard for years, and now the 50 is becoming increasingly popular. So just on hearing that, I'm going to suggest that it's like knives, or from what I understand the knives, that, you know, for a long time, people were forging shit on in a fire and with a what do you call that thing? Like a, they call that big piece of iron they smash stuff on. The, but anyway, in a blacksmith shop, right? With smashing them. And then at some point they started using machine shops and, you know, doing stuff, industrial forging and stuff. And as you get better and you figure out more metals, you're able to work with more metals than when you're in that old blacksmith shop, right? So I think it's something like that, right? Like if we're talking what Ruger came up with and, you know, right after World War II, that can't be, you know, the material selection and way of doing things nowadays has to be in just, I can't even imagine how many times more advanced. An anvil, thank you. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just that the 50 is probably a newer, stronger metal that now there's, you know, we have companies that are able to deal with the stronger metal. But just knowing what I know, which is basically nothing, I'd say the 40 is probably fine. Like, I can't, just because there's something better doesn't mean the one that's lasted for years is bad.
That's one of the issues that a lot of us in the gun world get caught up in. It's like, all right, what barrel steel do we use? Well, really, it comes down to how many rounds do you fire a year? Like, what's your barrel life? What is how do you run that gun? Because if the barrel life is 10 to 50,000 rounds, well, all right, cool. How often do you go through 1,000 rounds of ammo? Because that's the, I mean, what are you thinking, a lifetime? How many rounds do you fire? Now, yes, I fire significantly more than some people, but way, way less than anybody that shoots even casually in competition. With one gun, no, I use my 9 mil, I use my 22. I take training classes with 5.56, but I still don't go thousands and thousands of rounds a year. So for most people, almost any barrel still would do. It really does. So it's one of those things that they can raise prices up depending on the barrel still about how much they charge you for the firearm. Most people aren't gonna burn a barrel through, especially if you're using standard velocity ammo for that caliber, unless it's one of those crazy calibers that does like 4,000, 5,000 feet per second.
Or
And
like,
just gonna,
professional shooter training a lot, or professional shooter for your job training a lot.
yeah, like I have friends that, obviously compete and they fire tens of thousands of rounds a year. Well, yeah, barrel still may make a difference to them, but truthfully, they're sponsored and they'll just get a new gun.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I don't disagree with what you just said. But what the heck was I watching? I was watching stupid feed. I've been watching way too many feeds, wasting too much time on feeds, I guess. But watching feeds of, I think it's Ukraine whaling on Russia most of the time, but it must be the other side once in a while also. But I don't know how much the Russia side is using drones. But anyway, watching, I don't know if you've seen all of these videos where like there'll just be some building, a factory, whatever it's supposed to be, and then the drone will hit it. Like a little tiny remote-controlled airplane comes flying in, and then the next thing you know, the building's on fire. So that's got me a little bit wondering. We know that the Cold War, after the Cold War, well, I should say most of older people grew up during the Cold War. So no matter how old you are, if you're old enough to remember duck and cover type of bullshit, like we all really expected at some point a nuclear war to go off. Like, it was probably some odds that a nuclear war would have gone off. Luckily it didn't. I don't think that's an extinct possibility since we still have massive nuclear bombs like on both sides. So it is still a possibility. But I think most people aren't scared of that anymore. Right? I think I'm right on that. But, and I'm not either, but I do think about that. We still have massive amounts of nuclear bombs waiting to just, there's still a guy walking around with a briefcase next to both presidents, right? So, like that's still a thing, but it's just not as much a thing because I'm pretty sure national borders are pretty much stuck, except for a couple of little skirmishes. Nobody's moving any national borders anymore. So we're probably not looking at massive world wars. But when you start thinking about non-state actors, so cartels, just assholes, right? Whatever, people that have the funds to make a drone, which is almost anybody in the world at this point. That's where it starts to get weird. And if you think of not necessarily like a nuclear holocaust, but some sort of weird, everybody shoots their drones at each other's infrastructure type of situation, how weird would that be? Because, we're not invulnerable. And, without getting into details, you could take out parts of the United States and Russia and other superpowers, and then they'd be sitting ducks. They would just be sitting there because you take out tons of infrastructure, any country's done. And with drones, I really do think we have a changing of the dynamic. Maybe, I don't know if they're going to like the teeter-totter. It's more like now that the teeter-totter isn't back and forth. Now the teeter-totter is a big weird circle that more than anybody can sit on it. And you got to worry about somebody's jumping on it and disrupting the whole thing. And that's what I'm worried about. Because you know what I mean? Like back in the day, 20 years ago, we'd have been worried about terrorism doing something with a bomb. Well,
dirty bombs. Yeah.
Now it could be, drone taken out. Anyway, I don't want to get into it because who cares? But I'm just saying, like, what if there's some kind of situation where everybody's sitting pretty thinking, oh, the world's not going to blow up by nuclear bombs anymore. Seems like we've deterred terrorism. Everything's looking good. Oh, wait a minute. Now we don't have any infrastructure in most of the major countries. then what does the United States look like? I'm pretty sure Canada's just going to sit down and go like, oh, well, because they don't care. Like they're pretty much off grid anyway. But in Mexico, I'm not saying they're like off grid, but they're more comfortable. There's way more people in Mexico that are comfortable being off grid. So I suspect a bunch of people in Mexico are going to be like real comfortable coming up if there's no real grid in the United States anymore. And then you get all the bad guys, all the bad actors who are like, you know what I would like? A 40-acre spread in Tennessee. You know what I want? A chunk of Georgia. You know what I want? Like all of Arizona. And that's the kind of shit that, giant non-state actors are going to do if all our grid falls down. What are police going to do? Like, does anybody, when we were having these discussions in 2012, does everybody really think like the police with, some guy with a family or some lady with their family at home is going to be like, no, I'm going to stay on the job and work? Or are they going to go home and defend their family like everybody else? So we're all going to end up going home and defending our families in a weird situation like that. And then I think it matters how long your barrel is. That's what I was getting at, like how long your barrel is going to last. Because I think everyone should have at least one thing, one set of tools, right? One set of medical gear, like one gun at least per person, maybe, that can do it. And then most of us have like more than one gun. Go nuts with your third and fourth gun. Every single gun doesn't have to be able to go hell and back, but you should have at least one gun that can go to hell and back. And I don't know if that necessarily, you can't buy that necessarily. Like it's not just Better Metal makes a gun that way, but do the research, like find one that has really good reviews and that people who actually use their guns in real, for real, give it good reviews from like in real use. And there's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of them. And then maybe they're twice as much. What's the most expensive AR? Twice as much as a normal one? Like they're not 5 times as much or something. Like the most expensive ARs are just a little more expensive than a, high priced AR. But anyway, I don't know if that's waste of time advice or not or whatever, but I have been watching a lot of these drone things and I'm like, that's interesting. I really think drones could change the playing field if somebody really wanted to mess with it. If some country wanted to mess with another country, long past are the days where they had to send troops over, right, and have an actual war. And then the results of that are chaos. Like the results of that are riots and police not doing their jobs, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, do I have enough water? Like, how do I collect water the next time it rains?" Like that kind of shit.
Yeah, if we just want to talk about the hardware, let's not. But also let's talk about the software too. You have to have the skills to run the damn gun. You have to be able to hit things. You're not going to be firing thousands of rounds as a civilian unless you're in a militia or something. But then again, you need the skill set for that too. You bring your own gun, cool. How many firefights do you think you'll be in? Let's get the skill set first. Because more than likely, like any good militia, you're not going to be using your gun from year 1 to year 7 of the Great Clone War. You know what I mean? All right, so let's learn how to run them. For me, let's get my fat ass in shape enough to actually move faster than, the slowest freaking ice cream truck in the neighborhood. Like there's a whole bunch of other things you want to work on. But yeah, you want to buy once, cry once, if that's what you think your purpose for that rifle is going to be. But it is not, look, now the price of rifles are down. Remember, no more than 10 years ago, when someone asked you what does a good AR-15 cost, you pretty much went, start about $1,200, $1,200 to $1,500.
12 to 15, depending. Like you get some kind of bargain basement used thing for $1,000 or less.
Yeah, but we're talking to just new gun. Yeah, set aside $1,200 to $1,500 to get yourself a good AR. Now, maybe because I know the price has dropped for a good AR, that you could probably get into one for $750 to $800, a good one. I'm not saying top of the line issued in the Navy SEAL bullshit, but just a good gun that you can run all year long in training classes and you're not burning out the barrel and the thing doesn't have parts breakages and it has quality parts. That price has gone down. But the skill set you need to run that thing, the amount of practice you have to do to become competent, not even John Wick, just competent with it, has gone up. So I say, hey, spend the money, get the decent gun. You don't have to get the one that takes unless you're going to be running a belt fed. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to turn your gun into a squad automatic weapon, then yeah, you have to look at stuff like that. But I suggest that be your second, third, or fourth gun.
Actually, when you say that, I was thinking of the belt-fed uppers, but you know what? Now with these triggers, that's going to change the dynamic. We don't have to talk
Well,
about
that's
that in a second, but that is going to guns are going to have to be stronger to be able to deal with these triggers.
I mean, truthfully, it's just not even the gun's going to have to be stronger. It's just which parts you choose for it are going to
Oh yeah,
have to
yeah,
change.
yeah. You're
Yeah.
gonna, yeah. You can't buy bargain basement. And I don't know if you're wrong. Maybe bargain basement turns out to hammer forge itself into being the strongest shits. That does happen sometimes. Like I'm not saying it always happens, but it does happen.
Yeah. So things change. And again, you don't have to have an FRT. And usually, really, in the military, we didn't run full auto anyway.
Oh no, exactly. That's a super funny, like weird back and forth. Where I don't even know if it's irony, right? But like in the military, I'm saying military because all branches, nobody, even special operators, don't use full auto hardly ever. Like sometimes they'll leave enough full auto and burst a little bit, but rarely. Like they just don't bother. It's just not useful. And but they're always capable. Like they always have it because sometimes you totally need it when you're just covering firing for somebody. Like you want to be able to have that. Like you need that or whatever. I would say need, but whatever. You want to have that as a switch, but they almost never switch the switch, right? And then in civilian life, that's the ultimate goal. One reason is because they think in the military they use it all the time, probably, or you can't have it. So it's the thing you can't have, so you want it. And they cost a lot, or they used to cost a lot. But now that these things are going to change things up a lot. Like I'm not even paying attention to them, but they're in more than ARs now for sure. ARs, AKs, 1022s, some kind of pistol that was a 22. I'm sure there's one in a Canic I seen the other day, maybe a Taurus also. So like they're all over the place. They're making them as fast as people can engineer them or whatever, and that means because for a while there, the Glock was the one pistol that was, that made the Glock 18. Let's put it that way. Like that was in the Beretta, but nobody ever thought about screwing with the Beretta, even though it's possible. But it was definitely, everybody knows what happened with the Glocks. And the thing is, the Glock was literally made to be full auto. That's the other thing about Glock that nobody gives it credit for. Like Glocks, and except for that Glock and that Beretta, like they're the only guns that are made to be full auto. And we're about to see all these other guns have to live up to that. And that's, like you say, it's not that big a difference, but sometimes the part can wear out pretty fast when a designer doesn't realize, in 2025, when they're inventing the gun, that in 2027, FRTs are going to be, super cheap and common in every gun shop or at every gun show or something. So, you know what I mean? Like they're going to find out, and designers are going to find out, especially on these little PDWs and stuff. Like they're going to find out if their guns run full auto or not, because they probably figured, if they build a gun and sell 1,000 of them, maybe 10 SOTs will buy it and make it full auto. Right. In last year, where as soon as they make an FRT for it, boom, everybody's shooting it fast. It's not full auto, but it's fast.
Oh, it's darn fast. Oh man. Somebody at my house got an Amazon package doing the downfall.
Oh, did it get soaked?
Ooh, it's soaked. Oh, it's soaked. I hope it was in the box. Yeah, it's in the box. But yeah, so that's true. But again, a lot of people live in a fantasy world when it comes to how they're going to run a gun. Full auto is used as suppressive fire only to help you maneuver into position of advantage. Because you don't have to shoot at my face with a full auto to make me duck. It just has to be one round at a time, and I'm trying to get out of the line of fire. All right.
Outcast is saying he liked full three round burst, but not full auto. You have so much ammo on you. I never liked 3-round burst. I never had one except to play with them. Like I never was issued one. They were issued right around when we were in, but nobody got one type of thing. But from what I understood, it'd be like if you shot one or shot like, there's a cadence to it. Like you shoot one and then let go of the trigger for whatever reason. The next time you go to shoot, it's going to shoot 2, and then you'll let go of the trigger. It'll shoot 3. But if you let go of the trigger at 2, the next time you pull the trigger, it'll shoot 1. So it always finishes the 3. and that seemed weird to me. I didn't want to have to guess or wonder. I guess you didn't have to guess. It's just that you didn't really know, depending on the last time you let go of it, at where it was in the 3 rounds is what you were going to get next.
Well, it was
So I just like full
the
auto
three.
better. We just would pump like 2-3 rounds out of full auto and stuff.
Well, 3 round burst was a mechanical freaking answer to the freaking training problem. It was easier to come up with 3 round bursts and actually teach dudes to actually have trigger discipline. And that takes time, and that takes time on the trigger, and that takes more ammo. And they were just, oh, put this rinky dink bullcrap in it, it's not going to work. And that was the annoying part with the 3 round burst. All right, boom, you showed it, boom, 3 round, 3 round, 2 round, 1 round. Fuck, what? Yeah, it didn't fire burst because you cut the 3 round burst short because it has to go 1, 2, 3, and then reset. 1, 2, 3, then reset. And you let it go early, it went 1, 2. And then when you pull the trigger again, it went 3 and reset.
Right. And that was just weird. But
Yeah.
they didn't last
So,
long.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody liked it. And, well, I don't know.
Because it was a dumb idea. It was a dumb idea made by somebody who sits in the chair.
I wasn't no operator or nothing. Like they just, for us at least in the Army, it's I forget how long basic is. It is 2 months or something. Like it's 2 or 3 months. So whatever the chunk is where you're doing gun stuff, like going to the range, it would be like walk to the fucking range for like however many miles that is, like 8 miles to the range. So that's like your exercise for the day. And I guess it's better to have walked 8 miles right before you shoot so that you're, used to not just shooting in some kind of pleasant way. You know what I mean? Like you've done some work first. Anyway, so you're huffing and puffing. Anyway, so we would shoot like a thing, like prone, and then literally walk home and do something else, right? And then walk back out the next day and shoot kneeling and then walk home. It was like super slow and dumb and like 6th grade level shooting. So whatever day it was where that the burst or whatever, learning how to shoot full auto, we all thought it was going to be fun. And it was super boring. Like they make everything boring. But basically what I'm getting at is that it was sort of like, like a whole day just to learn how to squeeze 2 or 3 round bursts off. And I would say everybody got proficient after like 7 times. Like it doesn't take, it's an M16. It's not like a rocket, it's not like an F-16 or something. So, I mean, most of us were, I always talk about, we would gamble when we were sitting around. We would like throw dice or throw quarters at a wall to gamble. And what we would gamble, since we didn't have any money, and we didn't have no use for money at the time, we would gamble bullets so that we could shoot more or less. So the people that sucked at gambling, shot less than we did because, we'd just sit around trying to get as many bullets as we could. So, when it came time to go shoot, we had 3 mags instead of 2 or something. But anyway, so, so I remember those days, and it wasn't, I don't remember it being especially difficult to learn how to shoot. Now, maybe shoot accurately at shit, but like you said, we were just shooting cover fire. Like it'd be like shoot at that bush, 2 or 3 rounds at that bush, and it was essentially like don't shoot 1 and don't shoot 5. Try to shoot 2 or 3, and you'd figure it out after like 2 seconds. Now that being said, we probably never needed to ever do it again. So could I do it tomorrow? No. You know what I mean? Like I've not practiced it or anything, but I'm sure I would pick it up after like 4 rounds. Most every full auto I shoot, I don't like holding down the mag. One, it's not my gun, and those things cost a lot. So I just don't, it would be like taking somebody's Harley and popping wheelies on it and shit. Like I'm not doing that. So most of the time I'm just bumping little 2, 3 rounds out of a full auto anyway, because that's way more fun. Otherwise you're just missing the target and wasting ammo, heating the barrel up, right? And bothering the person who's letting you use it. And unless you're shooting belt fed, tripod mounted, then nobody gives a shit if you pull the trigger for a while.
So, yeah, well, look, full auto is a thing that seems like fun, but if someone runs a diversity shoot and I provide the ammo, that shit ain't fun. I got to pay for it. So I'll go ahead and put that out there. Listen, if we can get an ammo donor to consistently give us ammo, then I'm all for an FRT trigger. But I mean, truthfully, then when reality hits, again, because range owners are conservative, they don't allow FRT triggers on the ranges here. Or at least I haven't found one in Jersey. In Pennsylvania, yes, because you can have full auto in Pennsylvania, so it's no big deal to have an FRT. That's great, your little faux full auto thing. We have real full auto here. But in Jersey, yeah, no, the ranges are like, hey, buddy, calm yourself down. We don't want to get fined. We don't want a problem. And understand many people that go to a range aren't really good with the gun they have. They just think they're better than they are. And I'm sorry if that hurts some people's feelings, but it's the darn truth. Uh, just because you
Well, it
own
is,
it
but
doesn't
that's a
mean you're going to
training
know how to
thing.
run it.
I'd
Well,
agree
it's
with
it's
you.
a
But
no, it's not only a training thing, dude. It's a cultural thing. I have a gun. I go to the range this is my favorite. I go to the range all the time. Well, how often do you go to the range? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, at least twice a year. Okay, yeah, all the time. And I'm like, bro, I go to the range twice a month a given, and I used to go more than that, and I need to get it back up because I competed every week. Now I got to get back on it, but we're traveling a lot. But anyway, my whole thing is we as a culture got to put more on gun owners. I mean, us ourselves to get better with this thing. You're not that good. You need to be. You don't have to be
so
great, but you got to be competent. And most people have a really low opinion of what competent is.
for sure, I'm gonna say I think this. I don't know. I can't say 100%, but I'm gonna guess because I don't go to a range enough. You could definitely go to a range more than me, way more than me. Because I've literally only gone to a range a couple of times over the last probably 10 years. But just from I guess watching videos, maybe that's where I'm assuming I know this from. But I would say that just things like doing chamber checks and the manipulations, like the way people deal with their guns, I think that that's evolved over the years because I can remember being a kid and it was like chaos essentially. Like it was really goofy because there was no there's still no standardization, but there are instructors and they all kind of do things in a similar way as far as like the way that they'll check a gun or the way that they hold, like, well, for example, we stick our fingers out. Back in the old days, nobody stuck their fingers out. I don't know when that started, like the 90s maybe, or the 2000s probably, like when people started sticking their finger straight instead of putting it on the trigger. But when I was a little kid, I think they might say keep your finger off trigger, but they didn't care where you put your finger. And they definitely didn't think about like, oh, if you just hold the revolver with your all your fingers, you're gonna have to reposition your hand. So instead stick your finger out next to the frame. Like nobody ever said shit like that. So that kind of stuff is what I'm thinking of is like it's not like anybody said, here's the new range rules. You got to do it this way. I think that people just observe each other. You know, if somebody watches somebody on YouTube, the person watches somebody in the next lane over. They watch somebody at a competition or something, and they just kind of pick up things. So I don't. I hear what you're saying, but I always hesitate to be like, yeah, it's free country and shit, and people can be, we have a right to guns. We don't have a right to what's the word like have
We're
to
not
sign up for a
required.
whole class or
Well,
something.
my thing is this. You have this dangerous thing, this thing that you're proud of as an American, this thing you claim you have a skill set that you don't really have.
Sure, sure.
That's the problem. That's the
Well, and
problem.
it
I'm
should
not.
be made available to you. It should be like, "Hey, just so you know, you're an idiot, and it's so easy to not be an idiot. It's just right here. Here's all you gotta do. Turn to your
Well,
left and read or, like, watch or something."
and that's one of the things I try to push. It's like, bro, I don't ever want there to be a training requirement to firearms ownership because I live in a state that's full of pieces of crap that would use that to take your rights away. That will go, yeah, you can train, but the training officer's only here on the third Thursday of the month from
Yeah,
3 till 4:30,
and,
and
"Oh,
it's
you got
seven
here, but
hundred
you didn't
dollars.
fill out your 7th page of the form, so you'll have to wait till next
Yeah,
month."
so they can't be trusted. And anybody who wants to argue with that obviously haven't lived in a state as corrupt when it comes to rights as New Jersey, New York, and other places. They will steal your rights from you. So no, I in no way think you should be required to train. But this dang, what's the word for it when you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, I don't like to say ignorance because it sounds like
No,
we're
no,
being
no,
mean,
no,
but
no,
it's
no, no,
not,
no, no.
like
This is it's
unawareness
a
or something.
It's called the Dunning Kruger effect. I think
Okay.
that's what it's called, Dunning Kruger. And it's you don't know what you don't know. You've never experienced it. You haven't been here. Driving a car looked easy as hell because you watched your dad do it from the passenger seat for years until you had to get behind the wheel in your first class, or in when dad first taught you. Because some of us learned to drive before we ever went to a driver's ed class. But it was like, yeah, it seemed easy to do until you had to do it in traffic driving. And a lot of people think they can shoot better than they can because you've shot dirt clogs and cans in a comfortable distance, or you don't really know that I shot that 100 yards away. Well, sir, it was 50. not 100 yards away. You've never shot a target at 100 yards. And again, I do think it's a requirement, but I think people have a feeling that they're better than they are with a defensive tool. You should get better. You should want to get better. But you should also want to do a lot of things like drink more water, eat vegetables, and exercise regularly. And I don't think you should have to do those things either. But as a Second Amendment advocate and one that goes, the better we are at being gun owners and using firearms, the harder it is to paint us as these wacky people. Plus, the more we train and get around others and make it a regular thing, imagine if gun ranges were as busy as freaking bowling alleys and skating rinks were when we were growing up. Firearms ownership would just be another thing you own that you could enjoy on a weeknight or even a Saturday night. They'd be leagues and there'll be school shooting teams again. That's kind of what
Yeah,
I'm
and
pushing
that's
for.
what you would, when you searched for those two words, that's what you'd find. And people that were against gun ownership would be like the people that are saying like convertibles are the cause of too many deaths and we should have no convertibles. There should be laws that you should have a permit to get a convertible.
Yeah, cow farts are destroying the atmosphere. It would be those people. That's how they would be looked at. So that's, also a reason I want to push training is something we should all do, because the more people do it, the more it becomes just normal. And it
For
should
sure.
be.
And that's another piece of it, is that back in the day, I can definitely tell you that I never even heard of a firearms instructor before. I mean, I guess the concept must have been there, like it must have existed, but it would have been for somebody who was trying to be a competition shooter and needed a coach, right? Or that would the only thing I could think of would be something like that. Or maybe, yeah, some rich person who's just an idiot and needed someone to show them, so it must be somebody out there back in the day with that shingle. But it was certainly not like today, where if you go into a range, most of the time there's going to be either the range itself has instructors, or they have instructors that use the range, that use the range as their place, and then, offer their classes in there, whatever schedules they have. Where, you know what I mean? Like that's a new thing that, again, I probably since the mid 2000s has become more, I would say, mainstream. I don't think there's too many ranges anymore that don't have something about instruction. In fact, I'd say there's probably, and I'm thinking, 2018 is probably the last time I traveled and went to a bunch of gun shops, but the kind of thing I did looking at gun shops and stuff, I would say there's probably more instructors at gun shops and ranges, or like signs to get instruction, like either I'm an NRA instructor, I'm a USCCA instructor, whatever it is, type of thing, than there is hunting guides at gun shops. But that's probably a factor of I just didn't go to enough gun shops out in the country. I did most of my gun shops in the city, and they probably just don't have hunting guides, the way they would in the country. But back in the day, you'd walk into a gun shop and, there'd be all kinds of pieces of paper around the entrance about like, what are you looking for? Like elk or deer or whatever. And, I'm a hunting guide. I can get you a good spot or whatever.
Yeah. So, what do you call it? Okay. Well, we all been in this whole industry or around this for a long time. I don't know if there are any new people out there, but there are also dumbass gun owners. I mean, not dumbass gun owners, dumbass instructors that want to gatekeep stuff. You know what I mean? They get intimidated. They want to have everything to themselves. There were some of the same instructors that were pushing back against constitutional carry because it was going to affect their bottom line. We can't have that. We can't have gatekeeping in this community, because we really need to open it up. And I almost laughed openly at some of these small-minded people that didn't get it when Jersey got carry. Like, some of these guys were bickering, like, "Oh, my class is a pro. There's 9 million people here. There's 1 million gun owners. You could sell out a class every dang day and you wouldn't put a dent in how many people want to get carry permits, right? I mean, within 2 years, there were 70,000 of them out there, and everybody that wanted to work as a freaking instructor was working.
That's the problem. I was going to say, because a lot of them, I would say most of them probably a lot of them for sure are got great intentions. Either probably have some other job and are doing this because they have passion or whatever, or it's such a passion that they're doing it full time or whatever. But then there's always going to be with any kind of large
Hmm.
uh, group of companies like that, some people that are like, "Oh, I heard this is an easy way to make money." So for
Hmm.
them, it's like, "Oh, I'm sick of making spaghetti or hamburgers or something. I'm going to do CCW classes." And people where it's like a commodity, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have a right to do it that way, but I'm sure that they're the ones, the bad apples that makes the others, or that makes the whole thing seem like it's like you say, the people that would bitch and moan, like, I don't know if we want to have a permit because right now, or constitutional carry, because right now they wouldn't go to our permit classes. It's like those are the people that aren't looking at the big picture. And they don't have to,
Well,
as long as it's only
well,
10% or something.
but the problem is this: 10% is still way too many, especially when you're living a lie. So this is what I've heard from friends that actually lived in states that got constitutional carry as instructors. They said what happened when you give people constitutional carry is they pick up this thing and they look at it and go, I don't know really how to run this. I need to take a class. And that's what they do. And they actually take a real class, not a permit carry class, which is the lowest level of firearms manipulation there is outside of maybe NRA first steps. But again, you don't get a license with NRA first steps. So all of a sudden, the person isn't taking that CCW class because they have constitutional carry. So they're taking defensive pistol one, how to actually run a gun. You know what I mean? How to pull it from a holster and present it and use it to defend themselves and their families. And that's a whole different step away from the 20-round qualification, or in Florida, 1 round qualification, because all you need to do is fire 1 round in Florida to qualify.
Yeah, I'm down
So,
with that. I think of it like a driver's license. It's you get your permit or your license for driving is to know the rules of the road so that everyone's got the same basic like understanding of what the laws are. Then it's up to the individual to go figure out if they want to learn tactics and skills on top of that that would make them more effective in understanding their tool or their sort of situations that they're going to be in. Just like maybe a driving class. Well, I don't like to say driving class because a driving class often does teach you how to drive too, right? Like, because it's for 16-year-olds teaching you how to drive. Usually when you're getting a driver's license, it's both the rules of the road and driver's license and how to drive. But I'm okay with separating it on the gun side.
yeah. Anyway,
They could make it with where they say, like, what they do with safes, where they say you take firearms and training, like ups any kind of skill trait ups. What am I trying to say? Any kind of skill building with a firearm, that's tax free. Or that becomes a write off on your taxes, so that there's incentive to take it and essentially, um, what's the word? I guess also an incentive financially. Some ease in taxes or whatever to so there's like a reason to do it instead of just having it there. Maybe say when you take a class, your CCW permits are free, although
so
that's usually a big deal.
I
Most people are only paying 35 bucks
I
for them.
I had this conversation with a stupid ass New Jersey legislator who's supposed to be on our side, right? This is also why I don't like these pieces of shit. He was a Republican, and he was at one of these Second Amendment freaking fundraisers, and he's talking, and I'm listening to him, and it was really like listening to a parrot talk. It says words, but it doesn't understand the sounds it's making.
Yeah, it's just saying words that are on the screen in front of it and not understanding
Yeah,
shit.
Polly doesn't really want a fucking cracker. It doesn't know what it's saying. So this guy was talking about the Second Amendment, and I was like, oh my God, he has no clue. So, of course, being a Second Amendment absolutist and a petty asshole, I was like, hey, if you really cared, it seems to me you'd want people to train more. Well, yeah, I do. Then why don't you do something to make it tax deductible? I'm not saying the government pays for it, but I'm saying as a firearms owner, if I say, hey, I want to get training, I should be able to write it off because I'm being a responsible human being that's trying to help out my neighborhood and my community. And I'm also doing something to be safe. If you really want to push those numbers, make that a thing. No, I'm not requiring you to train, but you get to write off all your training off your state taxes. You get to deduct it. Oh, well, no, what's the problem? It shouldn't cost anything. It's not that many people going to train, but it can motivate people to take classes, to be responsible gun owners. Oh, he couldn't figure out how to distance himself from me enough.
That's frustrating. Because as you say that, then, like the instructor obviously sells more classes. The ranges that he does the classes or she does the classes at are, have more income. And then there's more bullets being bought, more guns probably being bought in the long run. It's not a huge hit on the economy, but you know what I mean? It's an increase net, and it's a net increase to get that money flowing.
Oh, my whole thing is you just put it out there. You put it out there, and all of a sudden, it's one more reason to take training. Oh, it's expensive. It's this, it's that. Well, you know what? If they were selling more classes, they could probably drop the price a little bit. Not much, but depends. Like in Jersey, it's $250 pretty much on average. Depends on who you go to. At a range, it's $250 to take a CCW class, but you can find individuals doing it for $100. And find one of those guys. Range has to charge range fees. Range has to charge everything for range upkeep and yada yada, and paying employees, to mop the floor and take out the garbage. But an individual, they're renting the time from the range, and they can charge what they want as long as they cover the nut. And almost every trainer, because I love these a-holes that talk about, oh, they just they're just part-time trainers. They're not the same as us. Because I've pooped on those guys too. Understand, I've been doing this since 2012. And I was like, it's amazing because me, myself, I'm a part-time trainer. But what I don't notice is when I look at all these national level trainers, a whole bunch of classes on a Wednesday. You mother effers might not be part-time trainers, but you're teaching on the weekends just like I am, asshole. So the people that are taking your classes are full-time workers, and they only have the weekends off just like my students. So you might do this for a living, but Tuesday afternoon, you ain't on the range teaching a class. Not every Tuesday. You ain't filling classes up like you do on the weekend. You don't even have classes available Monday through friggin' Thursday on your entire year's schedule.
So let me take a second. We're at 2 hours. I forgot where we started and where you got to go or what your schedule is.
Yeah, I got another like 12 minutes before I got to get on the road. Oh, baby.
All right. So I did want to ask another big question, though. Well, I guess 2 questions and answer them however you want. But I don't know if you thought about it this way or if you've had discussions with people in New Jersey about this as a potential, I mean, maybe you've talked about this in the past, this inevitable future, what it's going to be like. So going forward, assuming, like we said, that, nothing's challenged or whatever, the Third Circuit said this is unconstitutional, therefore all the shops start to just sell the stuff that is no longer unconstitutionally prohibited, and then people start to enjoy that stuff. I don't know how many gun owners are in New Jersey or how many gun shops. I think we've talked about it before, I just don't remember. But that I would suspect, just even because I'm going to call New Jersey a fairly small state. I mean, you're physically small and you've got a lot of people, but compared to like a Massachusetts or a California, when those dams unlock, when those dams come down. So what is the consequence to the economy or the industry or whatever we want to say, like the gun industry, now that everybody in New Jersey who wants to can go start buying, according to what they can afford, whatever they want.
What happens is companies like Palmetto State Armory stop being pussies and they can actually sell guns here.
Oh, then let me ask question 2 then right away, because you were saying this before. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you now. Will New Jersey remember the companies that fucked you over? Because I suspect the first part of that question was how big, like, of a wave is, the New Jersey purchasing going to be? And then is there going to be big voids to those companies who said no to New Jersey? Like, is New Jersey going to remember and be like, yeah, we'll buy Colts instead, or we'll buy something else instead?
No, because most people aren't that deeply into it, and they don't know PSA wouldn't send a strip lower here. They would know many companies go, we're not selling to Jersey. I mean, I can name them because I've actually tried to talk to them, and they were like, "Oh, you're in New Jersey. We're not shipping there." And it's like, what the f, bro? I mean, the only restriction you have is put this muzzle device on. I'll pay for it. You don't have to do anything else. Like, period. Just send the gun. The gun store will pin it. The gun store will put the muzzle device on it and weld it and pin it. Oh no, we're not going to send that. And most people aren't that into it. And then when you tell them, well, no, I've watched, my YouTube talking head talk about this gun for years as being perfect, and I have to have it, even though this company didn't actually support the Second Amendment rights in Jersey at all. They wouldn't even send us the gun, and they wouldn't take our money. But now I want to give them our money. So listen, I got to take the wins when I can get them, and not even think about those people, because really they never brought anything to the fight anyway. The people I'm talking about, or the type of person I'm talking about, was never an advocate, never fought for it, and doesn't care even after the wins. They just take it for granted. And I don't do this for them. I do this for the generation that will never have even known that they couldn't have bought these guns years ago, or couldn't take a class, or couldn't carry, or couldn't have effective self-defense ammo. Like, I guess what I'm really hoping for is to get the kind of uh, ignorance, I guess, that my doctor displayed today. That's what I'm ended up fighting for. That 20 years from now, there'll be some kid going, wait a minute, what? There was a time I couldn't own this? Because I just don't really want to. I don't really want to own an adjustable stock AR with a bayonet lug. I just want something with a fixed stock and a pin muzzle device. And I gotta look at it. I just want one of those retro guns from before. That's what I'm hoping. That we just have so much freedom that somehow people want to LARP assault weapon ban guns. Like, that becomes the new thing.
Yeah, I suspect it could. Um, I was watching a piece from, Logan, the guy from NRA Museum. He was on with
Mhm.
Cheryl Todd and Dan Todd doing their show, and was saying something about the collectors and our dads, let's say our parents' collectors would have been
Mhm.
cowboy guns. We collect probably Rambo and Vietnam shit or something, and then maybe uh, what was it, Global War on Terror maybe, and then the new kids, yeah, theirs is video games and movies, of course, because they maybe some Global War on Terror or something. But yeah, I could
Mhm.
see with the waves of, we've talked about before, with the waves of like generations selling off their guns, or their kids selling off inheritances, what's going to end up in shops, and what's going to be available and what's in demand or whatever. In other words, what's going to be available cheap versus like a Colt with a letter is probably never going to drop under $1,000, I don't think. Although a Smith and Wesson, I don't know, highway patrol or something from some state could, right? It's probably already lost its highest value or something, but who
Mhm.
knows? Maybe not. Maybe, like you say, 20 years from now there's this big resurgence because these guns were all $150 and they were everywhere. People on the internet started to be like, oh, look, I got 8 of them now. Oh, I got 10 of them. And all of a sudden they're expensive again. That's kind of the fun thing about guns. And then there's always, I don't know, well, yeah, like the stuff that I've been interested in, Cold War stuff. And then I've been aware of people that are interested in like World War II era stuff. There's the like always the possibility, or there's been the occasion where, oh, we found a bunch of M1 Grand somewhere, or like, hey, then all of a sudden there's these M1 carbines from somewhere, or all of a sudden these SKSs came out of some, hidey hole somewhere. And now, some company has them and they imported them and they're, $200. So there's that kind of thing. Who knows what the future of that, so, what that
Oh,
phenomenons are going to be.
yeah, because phenomenons are crazy. And then one of the craziest parts was sporterization of World War I and World War II rifles, right? Like, that was a thing that was done in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. You'd get a friggin' German Mauser, or what's the name? Springfield Armory M1903, and you cut the barrel down and move the sights and drill it and tap it for a scope. And now, of course, our generation started to go, "Oh my God, they sporterized this rifle." It was like, "Of course I sporterized it. They were selling buckets of them for freaking $2.
Yep.
What I
This is
want."
how I learned so that I could do better on my hunting rifle. I did 6 of these and ruined them so that I could learn how to do my hunting rifle right. People don't fathom that, but yeah, you would buy like 2 or 3 SKSs or Mosins. Like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
buy 2 or 3 Mosins so I can learn how to engrave or wood or something.
Yeah, engrave wood, learn to cut down the barrel and taper it. Oh man, I messed up so many of these. I cut it down. I cut the barrel 4 different times until I figured out how to do it, and I got it to this. It's pretty cool, huh? It's like what you cut down
Well,
a
okay,
Mosin?
we're we're going off on a tangent here, but I know you got limited time.
Yep.
So, but do you think there's gonna be an impact on the industry when New Jersey starts to buy?
Yes and no. I think there'll be a lot more sales here because again, the companies that didn't sell here will. I think that'll be a big thing. The fact that these companies don't have to worry. I was talking to the owner of Live Free Armory, and I was like, "Why don't you sell directly to Jersey?" And he was, "Because you have an AG that'll sue us." Well, all that's gone now. So we're going to have a lot more companies, I think, coming into the state, sending reps into the state, or companies that had it on lock and go, "Hey, if you want a staccato, you have to, buy." I think it was like 50, $100,000 worth of staccatos. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised if they got some of the bigger shops in New Jersey being like, "Is that all? Let me get 3 times
oh
that
no, no,
amount."
no, 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 no. What then? That's what's happening in a bunch of the states. Here's the thing with that. Why in the hell would I buy a staccato if I'm limited to 10-round magazines? So not only would I get a staccato, now I have to pay to have that. Well, it used to be $100 magazine pinned to 10 rounds. Well, now that's out. Well, guess what, Staccato? There's a whole bunch of other companies selling stuff too that are double stacked just like that. And they don't have the buy-in, and you can have the full pistol now with all the rounds. So I think it's going to work well for us. I think it's going to open up an entire market if they're smart. They'll come in and go, "Hey, we got these and we got Jersey prices, or Jersey takes priority, or whatever the hairy heck they have to do to ensure that we're in the run for it." So I think it will be a blip or a bump because it's not just Jersey, it's also Pennsylvania and Delaware.
Oh, shit. Wait, did Pennsylvania have an assault weapons ban?
Pennsylvania didn't have an assault weapons ban, but they were trying to push some stuff in Philly. All right, let's leave Pennsylvania out because it's bigger, but Delaware definitely did and had restrictions. Those are
Okay.
gone now.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, and then, so it's not quite SHOT Show. There's 184 days to SHOT Show, by the way. But there's, goals coming up in about 2 minutes,
Hmm.
and the industry is just, we're online, so we're all paying attention, and what I like is the concept of a dam. I like that the visualization of a dam breaking. So there's been all this demand for all these guns that there's been a prohibition on. Now people in New Jersey, anybody with discriminatory income or whatever it's called that can do it, are gonna start buying, and then that means people who can save up for it will be buying in a few months, right? And then people that didn't know
Hmm.
you could do it until they figured it out 3 months from now. So all of a sudden, it's not just like a spike. I think it could be a wave. And I understand like it'll eventually fade out, or get to a level where everybody's bought whatever they're going to buy. But I like the idea that there's this place for sales to go, so that if there are inventory sitting around, because there's like distributors out there and there's wholesalers and then there's companies that have franchises in different states, that can shuff their inventory and move their inventory around. So when that kind of stuff happens and people start to see the industry, I should say, I don't care about people, when the industry starts to see that there's a big ass payday when they change laws in a state so that it's not
Hmm.
theoretical. I think what happens is we've talked about this so many times, like most of the states, the laws are fine. Like whatever it is, like what is there, 50 states? So like 40 states, the laws are great. 9 to 11 states, the laws are shitty. So I think most of the industry goes, we make a bunch of money. It would be great if we made more, but 40 of the states we can sell to. So we're good to go, right? It would be great if it was all of them, but I don't think what they're looking at is we're only selling to 60% of the population of the United States. 40% of the population of the United States is prohibited from buying from us. And you just opened up a good chunk of that 30% or whatever, or that percentage. So now if the industry sees that, I'm hoping that they'll go, oh, wait a minute, you know what? We made a fuck ton of money. Instead of just doubling down on some new lever action stupidness that we don't really need, why don't we attack Massachusetts or put some real money into Massachusetts and see what happens when the state of Massachusetts can buy guns from us again? And then they can look at something like Colorado or whatever. I don't care. I'll let them do it whatever order they want. But that's what I would think would be the ultimate outcome, is if the industry sees the potential and goes, oh, let's do this over and over. Like, let's do this 9 or 11 more times. I mean, I'm probably wishful thinking, but that's what I guess that's what I was leading to with that question.
What was the, I'm sorry, you cut off. What was the question?
Oh, well, when I asked you before, like how big you'd think of Splash, the New Jersey, like I'm going to call it like, I don't know what to call it, like well or hole. Like there's, this all of a sudden there's going to be like suction, like New Jersey's going to start taking as much inventory as there is, I suspect. Because there's a lot of people in New Jersey that probably want a gun that they couldn't.
Well, there's 1 million gun owners in New Jersey. A significant number of them are probably going to be in the market, especially after we figure out what happened. If they do absolutely nothing, yes. People are going to be buying. If they try to pull a band again and try to push, then definitely a hell of a lot more people are going to rush by, and there's going to be a crazy rush. So it's yet to be seen. My hope is that the industry perks up and they see what's happening, and a lot more people get caught up in that kind of gun buying thing. One, it helps the industry out, but also it brings a level of awareness, and it gets them in the range where actually they can be introduced to me and other groups, and maybe we can pick up some advocates from this. That's my, crazy hope.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. Well, so why don't we end on that? You got to get going. So when's the next diversity shoot?
The next diversity shoot is going to be our first diversity shoot of the year at Union Hill Gun Club on August 6th. I actually had to cancel the very next one because I'm going to be at Goals that week, and I won't be able to host the one on the 30th at Gun for Hire Range. So the next one is August 6th. I'll be posting that tonight because I got people already hitting me up for tickets. And then after that, I forgot what date it is in August, but that'll be another one, and that's going to be at, I think it's going to be at Recoil Range. Nope, it's going to be in We Shoot in Lakewood. That's where I just had mine last week.
27th sound right? Is it that late?
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. Usually I pop them up before, but really the end of July is coming so quickly that it caught me flat-footed.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on. Please support us because we need ammo. We need funds. DiversityShoot.com. And you can catch not only me on this podcast, but on Firearms Radio Network, Gun and Gear Review podcast every Tuesday. We are no longer doing it live on YouTube because YouTube doesn't like us. And they keep pulling shows up and going, yeah, we're going to cancel you. You're banned for 2 weeks from a show 5 years ago.
Yep.
They've been doing that to us constantly. And so we've pretty much given up live shows on YouTube because it's not worth it. I can't correct something that was already put out.
Yep. It's very difficult to consider YouTube. It's viable, I guess, but it's difficult to put much effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, just the return on investment is ridiculous because you put on a great show, you bring in guests, you try to do live YouTube, and nope, not for 3 weeks. So we're not even worried about it. Also, Lotcott and Unfiltered will be back in September with new shows. And hopefully this weekend, I can at least get between the 3 AIs I use, I can put a plan in place about how to relaunch 2A4E Diversity Shoot, 2A4E podcast. So that's what we're doing. And thanks everybody for listening to me and putting up with my babbling for the last few years. I appreciate it. But I got to get to dinner now and Langhorne, I'm assuming. All right. Have a great day.
Take it easy.
Bye.
So I think Tony's going to jump out and then we'll wrap it up here. So thanks everybody again for joining us. And the last thing was Pack Rat was saying that he thinks by this time next year, all the bands will be gone. Would definitely like to see that happen. Yeah, but I don't have a perspective on that one yet. It would be great. I just don't know if it's feasible or not. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Introducing Gear Websites, your all-in-one solution designed to make life easier.